Alright, this is Sean for Strategic to Tactical. Um, in this segment, I will go over the disaster in Tesla that happened on Monday. It was one of my tactical setups going into the week. I think it was definitely my number one on my number one watch list. But I figured it's definitely worthy of a review, especially considering what ended up happening. So I'm not going to go into crazy detail. I'll try to keep this as short as possible. I apologize if for any of you who watched the Sifley video. I kind of was a little long-winded on that one. So this is a daily chart. Had a little bit 2 days consolidation after it kind of peaked above, made a new high. Figured it held it in quite well. It was worthy of another move above there. Again, I wasn't really expecting it to happen on Monday. I was really hoping for another day, and ideally a day or so where it leaks up to that level a little closer. It makes it a little nicer, but in this case it didn't happen. So anyway, I did have an algorithm running on this, that intraday algorithm, so I'm going to go over that as well. So right here, these lines is basically the open on Monday. Kind of opened, definitely a little strong, gapped up, but it kind of took it down, but then back again. I manually bought above this level a little bit, and then I bought some more up in here as it moved, just to sort of cheat in with basically tight risk parameters. Saw the volume coming in here, and then it triggered real quick, and this is the algorithm here. So it triggered, bang, above that level. I don't remember this tail happening, whether it happened before it popped or after. But anyway, it did kind of fall through, and it looked like, hey, here we go. The only sort of danger sign that on a psychological or sentiment level, there was a lot of hype on Twitter sphere about Tesla and this level. A lot of people talking about this new high and whatever. So in hindsight, that was, I guess, your warning on this one. But I still figured it was worth a shot. Went to 267, and again, this is going to have has real tight risk parameters. Again, in my experience, if this is a good level, it should never look back. It should just pop through and continue. It should never really press you, make you scratch your head and have to think about it. But this has been a whippy market, so it got me out for a small loss. Oh well. But then of course it came in actually a little bit more, but then it popped right back higher. And then the algorithm actually brought it back, right, at that 267. Talk about buying the high. That's what I did here, pretty much. But again, and then it even, hey, it popped above 267. Oh, here we go. This is the time. It's definitely on the move. Volume still involved, but that thing just turned on a dime. And again, this has got some tight risk controls, and then it whacked me out of it. Unfortunately, it's you take these kind of losses, and it's definitely frustrating. Again, death by 1,000 paper cuts, that's my nightmare. But it just wasn't acting right. It's like that Baidu trade last week. It shouldn't be doing this, and sure enough, it just kept making lower lows, lower highs, and it was just kind of brutal. So something happened here. There was some sort of algorithmic, some high frequency trade. Something went on that you saw it in the Qs. There was definitely some sort of insanity, HFT insanity going on here. Sort in the Qs, sort of a lot of technology stocks. Some sort of issue there. Fortunately, I didn't have any stops in here. I'm sure it screwed a bunch of people. Anyway, and it just continued lower right to the lows of the day. At some point here, at the end of the day, I'm not exact. I think it was pretty much right at this 261 level. I was like, you know what, this is a disaster. This is an absolute disgrace. Broke the lows of the day, and I actually bought some puts, 265 puts that expire at the end of the week. Figuring, you know what, I just think there's a lot of people trapped in this trade, and I just figured it would, just because of that. And I usually don't do that. That's really against my. But I figured that puts a little, for whatever reason, feel a little more secure with that. Had a little pop here right in my face on the puts, but I figured, you know what, as long as it doesn't break above the morning low range, which it didn't, I was gonna hold it. So I definitely had to stop to sell the puts if they went above that 262, which they didn't. And then the rest is history. Kind of closed at that 260 level, and yeah, just an ugly trade. But again, this business is about risk control, and in hindsight, looking at it, yeah, this is frustrating, but it would have been a heck of a lot more frustrating to ride that down. And again, everyone's time frame is different, so you know what, buying this and then selling, if you had a little bit longer time frame, more of a daily time frame, the point to get out for the next day was going to be these lows right here, right? Or there was a 258.50 level, which was these 2 days low right in here. It was another level that you could put a safety stop in if you had a little bit longer time frame, which is totally fine. Again, everyone's time frame is different. You have to understand where you live, and that's where you have to set your risk parameters. So I'm just going to go on real quick now as far as what ended up happening the next day. So I came in, the next day I actually had a strategy. I'm like, if we break those 258 and a halves, and after a day like that, I want to be short. But instead of selling short the stock, I had an order in to buy some more puts, triggered by a break below this level, and then I also was going to sell the 260 call. I bought the 260 puts and then sell the 260 calls. If we break below that 258.50, which we did, market kind of took it out and then just kind of wavered, and then it kind of really broke. Let me get in here a little bit better. And then the market, really kind of broke there real fast. Once it took that 258 level out, it really broke with a vengeance. I covered some of my puts in here. Again, on the short side, they usually come real quick and they bounce harsh. So I figured, and the premium really bounced in those puts, so I figured I'd take advantage of that. So I bought some puts back there, bounced pretty good right to the right to the 258 level would have been the resistance, so it didn't even make it there. Came back down. The support was in here, leaked lower. And then I figured the next level, if you look at the daily chart, there was a gap fill around the 251.75 area, and I saw that. So again, not that I'm a genius. I guess I just got lucky on this one. I bought some puts back right on the lows here that I still had. Still carried. I think after this I had one or two contracts left. Still short the calls, and the market kind of actually bounced pretty harsh. Yeah, okay. And then I bought some more. I think I bought another put back above when it traded above 255, just because I'm like, you know what, this market should not be bouncing that strong. If this was, if we were going to come in lower. So that was a good technical support level, and it showed pretty well. Then it closed at around the 256 and change, 257 level. So I came in today, short the calls. I had no put positions on. My last put position was the covering when it went above 255 here. Short calls, and basically what I did is and they expire on Friday in the 260. So I still believe that Tesla probably won't make it to 260, but I just don't have a longer term thesis on this. I covered. I put a a trigger price above 256 to cover the puts. So I basically bought the puts. I'm sorry, the calls. Apologize for that. I was short calls. I bought the calls back. I would have traded above 256, which got taken out right in here. Kind of came back in, but I sold the calls yesterday at 310, covered it at 150. Not a bad trade, and especially, yeah. I mean, I took advantage of some of that premium decay. It's all good, but I wasn't going to hold it now to get in the money. It bounced here right to that 258, right to 258 and a half, and well, it's above it, but now it's coming off a little bit. But you know what? I don't have any more. My thesis is sort of done at this point, so I'm out of it. But that's my adventures in Tesla. So anyway, without further ado, thanks for watching.